China consumes over 100 million tons of meat each year, making livestock farming a pillar that accounts for up to 26% of the country's agricultural GDP. However, behind this massive figure lies a survival paradox. The entire system could be paralyzed within weeks if all import channels for feed ingredients were suddenly cut off. Why does a country that leads the world in livestock scale still face such a critical vulnerability? Today, let's dive into the reality of China's livestock industry, where the pace of digitalization is even faster than in the electric vehicle sector, and food security is becoming the top priority to safeguard the protein supply for 1.4 billion people amid global geopolitical uncertainties. All will be revealed right now. First, we arrive at Zikang village in Zhejiang province. This small village of only about 1,000 residents may look peaceful, but it hides a nightmare for many people around the world. More than 3 million snakes of various species live together in less than 1 square kilometer, accounting for up to 10% of the country's total snake production. Can you guess what makes the locals willing to live alongside snakes? In fact, a professional snake farming household can earn between $55,000 and $68,000 per year, making snake farming a highly sought-after occupation in rural areas. The process begins with female snakes that reach the standard age of 9 to 10 months. To optimize the survival rate of the brood, farmers apply a controversial but crucial intervention technique: stitching the snake's lips with fine thread when the egg-laying season begins. The purpose of this is not to protect humans, but rather a technical measure to eliminate the female's instinct to eat their own eggs. With a yield of 12 to 21 eggs per clutch, manual collection must be carried out strictly every 2 hours. However, this is an extremely tense and dangerous period, as the mother snake remains in a defensive state, ready to strike at any moment. Collectors use a wooden stick with a metal hook at the end to skillfully lure the mother snake away from the nest. The operation must be fast, precise, and extremely cautious. Courage alone is not enough, as the price to pay could be a fatal bite from a highly sensitive mother snake. Moreover, even a slight delay can cause the embryos to die due to changes in temperature and humidity, rendering all the care efforts meaningless. Once removed from the nest, the eggs are taken to the incubation room. There, technicians inspect them using a flashlight to check embryo development and detect abnormalities. Qualified eggs are placed into incubation trays with strictly controlled temperature and humidity, while any discolored or irregularly sized eggs are immediately discarded. As they enter the growth stage, the snakes are transferred to standard cement enclosures measuring 0.5 meters in height and 1 meter in width, reinforced with sturdy steel mesh. Here, they are provided with a high-protein diet consisting of frog meat or baby chicks, fed 2 to 3 times per week. A 1-month-old group of snakes can consume up to half a kilogram of baby frogs per day to ensure rapid muscle development and the accumulation of high-quality venom. For individuals that absorb nutrients poorly or refuse to eat, farmers carry out a force-feeding process by using a stick to place food directly into their mouths, ensuring the entire group reaches the required weight before harvesting. This level of strictness is the foundation behind the immense economic value of the final products. In specialty restaurants, snake meat is prepared into stews or soups, priced between $50 and $100 per kilogram, depending on the species. In addition, snake wine remains an iconic product in traditional East Asian medicinal culture. Jars containing whole cobras or banded kraits can sell for up to $1,000, based on the belief that they enhance vitality and help treat joint-related conditions. Leaving the snake farming village in southern China, more than 27 million buffalo are undergoing a major genetic transformation. For decades, this animal was shaped for labor rather than economic value. They were mainly used for plowing and freely grazed on river floodplains or steep hillsides. This farming method relies on a unique biological mechanism. Buffalo must soak in water or mud for 2 to 4 hours each day. With an extremely limited number of sweat glands, wallowing is almost the only way for them to regulate body temperature, remove parasites, and protect their skin from harsh heat. However, this nature-dependent farming approach is gradually being restricted due to strict government regulations on resource management. Large-scale free grazing has been limited in many areas to prevent forest soil erosion, protect biodiversity, and especially to eliminate the risk of water pollution caused by livestock waste. It is precisely these environmental constraints that have driven a shift toward high-tech, intensive farming models. By crossbreeding local buffalo with imported breeds such as Murrah and Nili Ravi, experts have increased milk yields from 500 kilograms to 2,500 kilograms per cycle, transforming an outdated draft animal into a true money-making machine. In Guangxi, the buffalo milk capital supplying up to 60% of the nation's total output, buffalo are no longer free-grazed but are instead raised in large-scale facilities with temperatures maintained below 30 degrees Celsius. This controlled housing, combined with automated TMR, total mixed ration feeding systems, ensures complete consistency, producing premium milk valued at up to $6 per liter, 4 times the price of cow's milk. The reason buffalo milk can command such high prices lies in its superior biological properties. It contains twice the fat yet less cholesterol than cow's milk. Notably, with 58% more calcium and 40% more iron, along with A2 protein that is easier to digest, buffalo milk has become an ideal alternative for children, the elderly, and those sensitive to lactose. In Luan City in eastern China, hundreds of millions of geese are quite literally laying golden eggs, producing hundreds of thousands of tons of feathers each year, an economic value that rivals that of their meat. Leveraging its dense freshwater ecosystem, China has come to dominate this entire industry, controlling up to 90% of global meat production and 80% of the global feather market share. The journey of a goose begins in industrial hatcheries, where temperature and humidity are precisely controlled. After collection, goose eggs are carefully inspected under light before being placed into incubators. After about 28 to 35 days, goslings hatch from the selected eggs, healthy and ready to begin a new life cycle. They are then kept warm, carefully nurtured, and provided with adequate nutrition to ensure stable development. However, for young poultry, the brooding stage is extremely sensitive. Without proper control of temperature and hygiene, goslings can die in large numbers due to disease or thermal shock. As waterfowl with high activity needs, geese require ample space to develop feathers that meet quality standards. As a result, farms in Luan typically combine enclosed farming systems with large natural water areas. After about 120 days, when they reach a weight of 4 to 6 kilograms, the feathers achieve the necessary elasticity and insulation, key criteria that unlock a multi-billion-dollar value chain. By controlling the neck, the most maneuverable part of the body, workers can quickly separate each goose from the flock and place it into transport cages, while keeping the feather structure intact and undisturbed. From there, at the factory, the feathers undergo a rigorous industrial processing line. Raw feathers are separated using airflow to classify them by weight, then pass through a series of washing, sterilization, and centrifugal drying processes to completely remove impurities and moisture. Finally, they are dried and fluffed to achieve maximum loft before being inspected and precisely filled into premium bedding products, where goose down offers superior insulation and is significantly lighter than duck feathers of the same weight. But it doesn't stop there. Goose feathers have also unlocked another billion-dollar market. badminton shuttlecock production. Few people know that to create a shuttlecock that meets international competition standards, exactly 16 nearly identical wing feathers are required, carefully selected from the healthiest mature geese, an essential factor in achieving a stable flight trajectory that synthetic materials still cannot fully replicate. No longer confined to the ground, China's livestock industry has expanded skyward, where more than 600 million pigeons operate like mobile protein production lines, ready for market in just 21 days and delivering economic efficiency 3 times higher than traditional farming. In multi-tiered cage complexes stacked high to the ceiling, the key to this ultra-fast capital turnover lies in the 2+2 model combined with artificial feeding. In nature, parent pigeons must produce crop milk to feed their young, a process that consumes significant energy and prolongs the reproductive cycle. Chinese agricultural engineers have overcome this biological limitation by allowing parents to raise the chicks for the first 7 days, then separating them and transferring them to automated feeding systems. With the support of technology, a nutrient mix that perfectly mimics crop milk is directly injected, allowing young pigeons to increase their body weight 8-fold in just 3 weeks. By removing the burden of parental feeding, adult pigeons can immediately enter a new egg-laying cycle, boosting productivity from around 10 broods to 25 to 30 chicks per year. As a result, meat pigeons reach market standards in less than 1 month. Do you know how thousands of pigeons are transported at once without losing a single one? This is where specialized ventilated trucks come into play, tightly packed with stacked plastic cages, maintaining a massive supply flow from high-rise farms directly to centralized slaughter lines within just a few hours. Beyond providing ultra-fast protein, internal organs such as pigeon liver and heart are often valued up to 5 times higher than regular white meat due to their concentrated iron and micronutrient content, especially the liver, one of the richest natural sources of iron in the food world. In some premium markets, they are even sought after as animal ginseng, although this term is more rooted in folklore than science. Moving into the inland waters of Zhejiang province, you are faced with a massive biological gemstone factory, one that controls up to 95% of the global supply of freshwater pearls. At the core of this system lies a breakthrough technique: multi-point mantle tissue grafting. Unlike saltwater pearls, where each oyster is implanted with a single solid nucleus, technicians here make dozens of ultrafine incisions in the mantle of a living mussel, then insert epithelial tissue taken from another individual without using a hard nucleus. As a result, each mussel no longer produces just one pearl, but becomes a multi-point production system, capable of cultivating 30 to 50 pearls simultaneously in a single cycle, increasing output density dozens of times compared to traditional methods. To ensure consistent quality at an industrial scale, the entire living environment is tightly controlled. Instead of resting in unstable bottom mud, millions of mussels are suspended in mesh bags within oxygen-rich water layers, where growth conditions are continuously optimized. At the same time, biological sensor stations spread across the lake monitor algae density, the primary food source, in real time, maintaining a stable and optimal nacre secretion state, which directly determines the luster and color of the pearls. After 3 to 5 years of nacre accumulation, the mussels are harvested and manually opened with precise incisions to release large quantities of pearls, ranging in color from milky white to pinkish purple. The pearls are then sent through a surface treatment line, where they are cleaned and polished using ultrafine abrasives such as aluminum oxide powder or industrial diamond powder, creating a near mirror-like luster before entering the grading stage. This is the most labor-intensive phase, as thousands of workers must sit for hours to manually sort millions of pearls based on size, shape, roundness, and reflectivity, factors that directly determine their commercial value. With its concentrated calcium and amino acid content, Chinese pearl powder can retail for up to $200 per 100-gram jar when packaged as a premium cosmetic ingredient in the US market. Beyond that, even the shells left after pearl extraction are ground into mineral additives for animal feed, ensuring the entire system operates under a single principle. Not a single gram of material goes to waste. On the international market, Chinese pearls have the advantage of low prices thanks to large production volumes and a wide variety of designs, making them highly accessible. However, their quality is often inconsistent, with luster and durability sometimes inferior to pearls from Japan or Australia. In contrast, other countries focus on higher quality, but their products tend to be significantly more expensive. Spanning an area comparable to Texas, Ukraine's agriculture does not rely on small, family-run farms. Instead, the entire system is organized as a network of agro-holdings, where land, machinery, and data are managed like a large-scale industrial production line. This model is rooted in the convergence of flat terrain and a continental steppe climate. Ukraine's hot, dry summers create ideal conditions for crops to naturally reach low moisture levels right in the field, a factor that can be harsh for many plants, but is perfect for grain production. Across vast fields stretching for tens of kilometers without interruption, high-capacity combine harvesters, reaching up to 600 horsepower, operate continuously like a massive mechanical assembly line. With cutting headers over 12 meters wide, these machines process dozens of crop rows in a single pass, handling thousands of tons of grain per day. Meanwhile, trucks move alongside them, collecting grain in real time without interrupting operations. To sustain this level of efficiency, the entire system is monitored through sensors and real-time yield mapping, allowing instant adjustments across different field zones and keeping losses below 1%. As a result, Ukraine produces around 20 to 25 million tons of wheat each year, maintaining its role as one of the most important breadbaskets for Europe and the Middle East. At the same time, corn, a crop capable of generating nearly twice the biomass, reaches output levels of over 30 million tons, becoming a strategic feed source for the global livestock industry. This is especially critical for China, which at one point relied on Ukraine for more than 80% of its imported corn to sustain its massive pork sector. However, the true strength of this system lies not only in production, but in its ability to control post-harvest flows. All grain is funneled into a vast network of silos, with a total capacity exceeding 55 million tons, functioning as a stabilizing buffer for the global food market. Thanks to this, Ukraine is not forced to sell immediately after harvest. Instead, it can store grain for 12 to 18 months and release supply precisely when market demand peaks. A critical advantage that allows the country not only to produce food, but also to directly influence global prices and supply dynamics. While in the United States, grain, despite being produced at massive scale, is often treated as a base input for downstream industries. In Ukraine, this flow becomes the lifeblood of a billion-dollar sector: poultry farming. With an annual output of over 1.4 million tons of chicken meat, this Eastern European nation has emerged as a key protein supplier to the EU. Despite being nearly 15 times smaller than the US, Ukraine has secured its position as the world's sixth largest poultry exporter. The process begins with designing a precise feeding program tailored to each stage of a chicken's growth. Leveraging its status as the world's leading sunflower oil producer, Ukrainian farms incorporate high-protein sunflower meal and pure vegetable oil into feed formulations. This combination contributes to the chicken's naturally mild sweetness, golden skin, and deep-colored egg yolks, thanks to the high concentration of unsaturated fatty acids. Through optimized feed and fast-growing hybrid breeds, chickens reach their ideal market weight in just 38 to 42 days, with an exceptionally low feed conversion ratio, a level of efficiency that even many industrial farms in Iowa or Arkansas struggle to match. Notably, nearly every environmental variable, from temperature to airflow, is controlled by centralized computer systems. This automation eliminates up to 95% of human intervention, ensuring maximum biosecurity and consistent production at scale. In the egg production cycle, hens begin laying at around day 140, starting with smaller eggs that gradually increase to premium grades. Each hen can lay up to 1 egg per day, averaging 5 to 6 days per week. At this stage, nutrition must be precisely balanced in terms of energy, protein, and calcium to sustain output and ensure strong shell quality, including grains, oilseed meals, trace minerals, and vitamins. At large-scale farms with up to 1 million industrial hens, daily output can reach 800,000 eggs. In advanced farms, eggs are automatically collected via continuous conveyor systems, moving directly into centralized processing units. Farmers no longer need manual collection, saving up to 70 to 80% in labor costs, while also reducing breakage and cross-contamination. Millions of eggs are gathered daily at grading and packaging facilities. Here, they are sorted by size and quality, then pass along conveyor belts through infrared sensors that detect even the smallest cracks invisible to the naked eye before packaging. Once quality is ensured, eggs are grouped into batches of 6 to 30 units, labeled with digital traceability codes, and then distributed to consumers. So, have you ever wondered why eggs come in different colors? Time's up. The answer lies in genetics. Shell color is determined by pigments produced in the hen's body during egg formation, not by diet. Nutritional value across different shell colors is nearly identical. Beyond eggs, the true industrial power lies in highly automated processing lines operating at speeds of up to 15,000 birds per hour on a single system. After cleaning, carcasses are treated using air-chilled technology instead of traditional ice water immersion. This dry cooling method passes the chicken through tunnels of cold air at -1 to 2 degrees Celsius, a process widely preferred in the EU. It helps preserve protein structure, prevents cross-contamination, and avoids the water absorption typical of conventional chilling methods. Following this, AI-driven systems sort, portion, and package the products for distribution to premium consumer markets worldwide. At this stage, each batch of chicken is assigned a digital identity passport, allowing consumers anywhere in the world to simply scan a QR code and trace exactly which grain batch was used, and even which field in Ukraine the feed originated from. Can you imagine if Ukraine stopped crushing sunflower seeds? 1 out of every 2 bottles of sunflower oil on global supermarket shelves would disappear? With a cultivated area of up to 7 million hectares, equivalent to covering the entire territory of Ireland, Ukraine holds a dominant position, controlling nearly 50% of global export market share. While Russia may compete in raw seed production, Ukraine goes further, transforming these dry seeds into the most widely consumed vegetable oil in Europe, generating over $5 billion in export value each year. When September arrives, vast sunflower fields transform into a non-stop industrial operation. High-capacity combine harvesters run through the night at full speed, moving millions of tons of seeds into storage before early seasonal rains can degrade oil quality. Unlike grain crops, the key difference lies in the specialized sunflower header, equipped with lifting snouts up to 1.5 meters long. Instead of cutting low and consuming the entire plant like wheat or corn, this system gently lifts and isolates only the dried flower heads, minimizing wind disturbance and preventing seed loss. Immediately afterward, the flow of seeds is transferred to trucks moving alongside via a continuous unloading system, allowing the harvester to operate without stopping and maintain maximum efficiency across the field. With a record oil content of 42 to 45%, each harvest here yields around 20% more oil per unit area compared to competitors in North America or Southern Europe. Immediately after harvest, all seeds are transported to crushing plants within 24 hours to prevent natural oxidation and maintain the lowest possible acid levels. The production process operates as a 100% zero-waste circular system. Seed husks are separated and compressed into biomass pellets, which are then burned in boilers to generate heat and electricity for the entire facility. Following mechanical cold pressing to preserve nutrients, the crude oil is further refined through a multi-stage filtration system, removing impurities without the use of chemical solvents. The result is high oleic sunflower oil, with a smoke point of up to 230 degrees Celsius, demonstrating exceptional heat stability, allowing it to withstand high-temperature cooking without breaking down or releasing harmful compounds. In the U.S. market, Ukrainian sunflower oil often maintains more stable pricing than premium canola or soybean oil, while still competing in the high-end food segment thanks to its purity. While nearly 90% of cooking oil in the U.S. is derived from genetically modified crops, Ukrainian oil stands apart with a 100% non-GMO standard, a key factor enabling it to meet increasingly strict food safety regulations in Europe and other premium markets. Leaving behind the vibrant sunflower fields, we move to a different kind of white gold hidden beneath the soil. Sugar beets, a strategic crop that has turned Ukraine into the largest sugar producer in Eastern Europe, with annual output reaching 13 million tons, directly competing with leading regions in France and Germany. Concentrated in the central and western sugar belt, such as Vinnytsia and Poltava, the production cycle runs from September to November, when the first frosts begin to appear. Slight drops in nighttime temperatures trigger the plant's biological response, accelerating the conversion of carbohydrates into sucrose, which is then stored directly in the root, increasing sugar content just before harvest. In the fields, massive six-wheel self-propelled harvesters operate like mobile mechanical assembly lines. The front unit removes all green foliage, while a system of digging blades penetrates up to 30 centimeters into the soil, gently lifting the beets without damaging their structure. Immediately, the roots pass through vibrating conveyors to remove soil and debris before being transferred directly into storage tanks, all in a single continuous pass, with capacities reaching up to 60 tons per hour. Unlike grains, which are often exported in raw form, Ukraine's sugar beets are 100% processed domestically before distribution. At the plant, the beets are sliced into thin strips known as cassettes, similar in shape to French fries, to maximize surface area. They are then fed into high-temperature diffusion towers, where natural sugars are extracted using hot water at around 70 degrees Celsius, separating sucrose from the plant tissue. This process produces a highly purified liquid sugar solution with sucrose content reaching up to 99.8%. Thanks to its non-GMO nature, Ukrainian beet sugar is considered a premium raw material, meeting the strict standards of the confectionery industries in both the EU and the Middle East. Closely tied to the sunflower industry, Few people realize that Ukraine is the world's second largest honey exporter, ranking just behind China. With around 4 million bee colonies spread across its vast steppes, the country is not just producing honey, it is operating one of the largest pollination systems on the planet. When sunflowers begin to bloom, thousands of beehives are transported directly into the fields, a highly strategic move. Beyond producing honey, these bee colonies can increase seed yields by up to 20 to 30%, turning each field into a self-contained ecosystem where oil and honey are generated simultaneously within the same biological cycle. At the microscopic level, this mechanism is almost programmed in its precision. A single sunflower is actually composed of thousands of individual florets, each opening for only a brief window of time. Within that narrow window, bees act as biological engineers, transferring pollen from one floret to another with near-perfect accuracy. Each successful contact effectively results in the formation of a fully developed seed, forming the foundation of a multi-billion-dollar sunflower oil industry. Once the honeycombs are fully filled and sealed with wax caps, beekeepers use smoke to calm the colony, carefully remove each frame, and transfer them into centrifugal extractors to spin out the honey. From this point onward, every batch is assigned a digital passport, enabling full traceability from the field of origin to the health status of the bee colonies. This level of transparency is essential for entering demanding markets such as the US and Germany. While the US market continues to struggle with issues like adulterated honey, antibiotic contamination, and fraudulent labeling, Ukraine has built a system in the opposite direction. Each batch is digitally tracked, allowing verification of the entire chain, from flower source and hive conditions to harvesting and processing methods. This combination of traditional, old-world beekeeping practices and modern control systems results in a product with highly distinctive characteristics. Sunflower honey crystallizes within just 3 to 4 weeks, forming a smooth, butter-like texture, a sign of high glucose content and exceptional purity. Compared to multifloral honey, it is typically more affordable, yet more stable, with less seasonal fluctuation, making it especially suitable for the rapidly growing clean label product segment in the US. Controlling nearly 40% of global rice trade, India has the power to shake the world food market. Each export ban capable of sending prices soaring and raising meal costs for billions. That influence extends beyond short-cycle rice varieties. Premium basmati, grown in the Himalayan valley, can require up to a year to cultivate. To manage vast output across complex terrain, India employs 2 parallel mechanization strategies. Crawler-type combine harvesters in waterlogged southern regions like Andhra Pradesh, and compact reapers for small household plots. While tracked combines glide over muddy fields to cut, thresh, and clean grain in one pass, small reapers reduce labor by up to 80%, operating efficiently in tight, soft soil conditions. With this flexible system, India produces over 150 million tons of rice annually, surpassing China to become the world's largest producer in 2025. Despite lower yields per hectare than the United States, its massive cultivation area and adaptive machinery secure a decisive edge, placing Indian rice everywhere from $1,200 per ton basmati on premium shelves to affordable staples feeding densely populated African cities, cementing India's role as a cornerstone of the global food supply chain. Each year, India produces more than 30 million tons of bananas, nearly 3 times the output of China, the world's second largest producer. This achievement stems from a highly disciplined resource management system. Plantations implement drip irrigation combined with automated fertigation to maximize water and nutrient efficiency. When temperatures exceed 40 degrees Celsius, micro-sprinkler systems are activated to cool the canopy. During colder periods, farmers continue irrigating and use smoke to keep the root zone warm and protect the plants. Although harvesting is done manually, it is strictly controlled to prevent damage to the delicate peel. Banana bunches weighing up to 50 kilograms are swiftly transported to collection points, then passed through antifungal washing tanks and cooling processes before labeling, a critical step in preserving freshness throughout global shipping. Composed of 90% water and rich in potassium, chopped banana stems decompose rapidly when incorporated directly into the soil, turning into on-site organic fertilizer that improves soil aeration and moisture retention. This method not only helps farmers cut chemical input costs by around 30%, but also clears fields quickly in preparation for the next crop cycle. Even more remarkably, the banana plant's life cycle does not end there. From the strong fibers within the stem, Indian producers craft high-end fashion products such as handbags, textiles, and even kimono exported to Japan, transforming agricultural waste into a profitable circular economic ecosystem. Farewell to dry onion warehouses. We now arrive at the proudest symbol of the Indian summer: mangoes. Revered as the king of fruits, India dominates nearly half of global production, with an annual output exceeding 20 million tons. Rather than focusing solely on the golden-skinned Alfonso variety, modern plantations are increasingly promoting green export varieties such as Keet and Totipuri. These cultivars are known for their large size and firm flesh. Even while the skin remains green, the interior reaches optimal ripeness, making them ideal for long-distance transportation. To protect this delicate fruit, farmers bag each mango directly on the tree using specialized covers. These protective layers act as shields against harsh sunlight that can cause skin burn, while also serving as effective physical barriers against fruit flies. Combined with pheromone traps and sticky insect boards, pests are controlled efficiently without excessive reliance on chemical pesticides. From March to June each year, peak harvest season begins. To preserve the natural wax coating and prevent sap from staining the peel, one of the main causes of black blemishes, farmers carefully cut each fruit by hand, gently supporting it before placing it neatly into specialized plastic trays. Immediately afterward, the entire batch undergoes heat treatment at 48 degrees Celsius to eliminate insect eggs and meet the strictest export standards from Europe to the United States. This meticulous process turns each mango orchard into a generational asset for Indian farmers. Although labor and maintenance costs are high due to manual care and harvesting, premium-grade mangoes can sell for up to 10 times the price of conventional industrial varieties. Nearly 1/4 of China's territory is desert, where scorching winds and drifting sand make it extremely difficult for crops to survive. The Taklamakan Desert alone spans more than 330,000 square kilometers and is so dry that it's nearly devoid of life. Yet instead of abandoning this harsh land, the Chinese took an unexpected approach. They began growing cotton. To grow crops in the desert, China relies on an entire system of specialized technology. High-powered tractors plow, level, and compact the loose sand into stable, straight rows, reducing sand drift by up to 70% and helping the soil retain moisture. After that, they lay down agricultural mulch film stretching for kilometers, a solution that can cut water evaporation by up to 90% and retain enough warmth for seeds to germinate. Thanks to the combination of heavy machinery and modern agricultural materials, the once shifting desert surface is transformed into ground stable enough for cultivation. Once the sand is compacted and covered with mulch, seeds are planted into small openings. A drip irrigation system immediately delivers precise amounts of water, helping the seeds germinate reliably amid the desert's extreme dryness. After months of enduring scorching winds, extreme temperature swings, and sandstorms capable of wiping out entire fields overnight, the desert cotton farms finally reach harvest season. From the now stabilized sandy ground, China moves on to the most critical phase, tech-driven harvesting. Bright red cotton harvesters, from Tianya machines to the John Deere CP690, advance in perfect formation like a mechanized army, sweeping across thousands of hectares. Each machine handles 10 to 12 tons of cotton per hour and compresses it into dense modules within minutes. With GPS, ground sensors, and automated control cabins, entire fields stretching tens of square kilometers require only 3 to 5 engineers to monitor everything remotely. Lacking the fertile land that the United States possesses, China has been forced to build its advantage through technology, turning deserts into industrial-scale agricultural production lines. It is precisely the harshness of nature that pushed them to develop a generation of powerful, highly precise machines, capable of transforming uncultivable land into one of the world's major cotton hubs. Leaving behind the white cotton fields of the harsh desert, we continue our journey to lush green rice paddies, where the power of machinery and automation is reshaping the way humans farm. For centuries, rice transplanting was one of the toughest tasks for Asian farmers. Bending over in flooded fields for hours, planting each seedling by hand, and managing to cover only a few hundred square meters per day. But today, everything has been completely transformed thanks to automatic rice transplanting technology. Modern rice transplanters like the one you see here operate as large-scale, agricultural robots. At the front sits a platform holding dozens of seedling trays, while at the back, a system of mechanical arms continuously lifts, separates, and plants the seedlings into the field at a steady pace. Each machine can handle 1 to 2 hectares per hour, equivalent to the workload of 40 to 50 traditional laborers. RTK GPS technology allows the machine to move in perfectly straight lines, with a margin of error under 2 centimeters, ensuring nearly perfect spacing and density between each plant. Depth sensors automatically adjust the planting feet, so the seedlings are neither too deep nor too shallow. All of this happens while the operator simply sits in the cabin, monitoring the parameters through a digital display. As the rice grows and enters the tillering stage, technology once again takes over the farmer's labor. Automatic spraying drones follow GPS routes, dispersing ultrafine mist across entire hectares within minutes, protecting the rice evenly, quickly, and with almost no manual work required. And as the green rice seedlings grow taller, the paddies turn golden. Harvest season has arrived. Unlike wheat harvesters in the United States, which operate on dry, flat, and firm fields, rice harvesters must work under completely opposite conditions: deep mud, soft ground, low traction, and a high risk of getting stuck. That's why their technology is specially designed. Wide track rollers to distribute weight, automatic balancing systems to prevent tipping, and a cutting threshing mechanism that works reliably even when water reaches halfway up the wheels. A modern rice harvester can process 0.6 to 1.2 hectares per hour, replacing the labor of 20 to 30 workers. Inside, the threshing and fan system separates grain from straw within seconds, depositing the rice directly into sacks or sealed containers to minimize moisture. Thanks to sensors that monitor soil moisture and sinking, the machine automatically adjusts its speed to avoid damaging the remaining stalks. While wheat harvesters in the US run like steel trains across dry plains, in Asia, rice harvesters resemble mud-crawling machines, fine-tuned with precision for every movement. As a country warming at twice the global average, having recorded temperatures above 50 degrees Celsius in Xinjiang, and experiencing extreme rainfall that forces millions to evacuate each year, China has been pushed to accelerate greenhouse agriculture to safeguard its food security. In modern greenhouse complexes, vegetable production operates like a clean food factory. Seeds are dispersed by vibration machines with less than 1% error, incubated in perfectly climate-controlled chambers, and then transferred into the main greenhouse. Here, high-pressure misting systems maintain stable humidity, LED lights adjust to each growth stage to boost development by 20 to 30%, and robots continuously move trays to optimize light exposure and airflow. All data, from leaf color to growth rate, is analyzed by AI, which automatically fine-tunes environmental settings by the hour. The vegetables grow in conditions so clean that pesticides are almost unnecessary and contamination risks are virtually non-existent. When harvest time comes, robots pull the trays into a sealed processing area where the produce is washed, sorted, and packaged immediately. The entire journey from seed to table remains within a fully controlled technological chain, reflecting the advancement of Chinese agriculture amid an era of harsh climate conditions. While this model delivers consistent, year-round, and safe produce, its cost is 1.5 to 3 times higher than traditional farming, forcing older cultivation methods to evolve or risk being left behind. Under the pressure of harsh climate conditions and a surging demand for clean food, China is not only building vegetable factories inside greenhouses, but also deploying robots directly into the fields, replacing labor-intensive, sweat-driven tasks with precise, fully automated systems. Apple harvesting has long been an extremely labor-consuming job, picking each fruit by hand, risking bruised skins, and requiring hundreds of labor hours for just 1 hectare. That pressure has driven many orchards to adopt apple-picking robots, machines that precisely replicate the delicate movements of human hands, but at far greater speed. Equipped with 3D cameras, ripeness sensors, and AI recognition, these robots can identify each apple in a fraction of a second. Their silicone grippers perform a gentle twist-pull-detach motion, allowing them to harvest 1,200 to 1,500 apples per hour, 4 to 6 times faster than manual labor. Once picked, the apples are immediately transferred onto conveyor systems for automatic size grading. With the ability to operate around the clock, apple-picking robots are transforming orchards spanning hundreds of hectares into nearly fully automated harvesting lines. The hills of Zhejiang and Anhui have long been the cradle of China's finest teas, but traditional tea picking is full of risks. Clinging to slippery slopes, performing meticulous hand movements for hours, and facing a growing shortage of young labor. These challenges have driven the rise of tea-picking robots. These machines use high-resolution cameras combined with AI to identify individual tea buds in fractions of a second, distinguishing young leaves from mature ones with an error margin of less than 5%. Their mechanical arms are equipped with micro-vibrating cutting blades that mimic the skilled pinch and pluck motion of experienced pickers, ensuring the tea buds retain their shape and freshness. Each robot can handle the workload of 20 to 30 workers and can operate continuously even on terrain that is difficult for humans to access. As a result, traditional tea hills are gradually transforming into high-tech, highly precise harvesting systems, consistent, stable, and surprisingly efficient. Known as the nutrient reserve of the cold season, cabbage is one of China's key vegetable crops. And while many European fields still rely on manual labor, Chinese farms have taken a completely different path, harvesting with machines as if operating an industrial production line. Cabbage harvesting is notoriously labor-intensive. Each head must be cut by hand, requiring thousands of repeated bends and lifting tens of kilograms every hour. This difficulty has made cabbage harvesters the inevitable solution. These machines use high-speed hydraulic blades to cleanly slice each cabbage in a single motion, then lift it onto a moving conveyor, where an automated trimming system removes old outer leaves on the way up. From field to storage bin, the entire process runs seamlessly without a single human hand involved. Each machine can harvest 8 to 12 tons of cabbage per hour, tens of times faster than manual labor. With ripeness sensors, anti-sink systems, and self-balancing controls, the harvester moves smoothly across soft soil, transforming the entire field into an industrial-scale harvesting line where speed, quality, and precision are maintained down to every meter of land.